today's show off will be the Reverend Charles Martin. Reverend Martin has an outstanding story about how he did some things and wound up uplifting himself from his own bootstraps. Mr. Martin, would you please come up and share your comment, please?
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Hackley. I'm Charles Martin, Reverend Charles Martin, and I would like to share with you my personal experience in the hope that through the illustration of my life, someone may glean some information that would contribute to their life, help them in some way to see that it is possible to overcome difficult and challenging situations in life. I am one of 11 children who were victimized by the murder of our father in a small Alabama town called Centerville. A so-called friend murdered him. I do not remember much about my father, but I do know that he brought his paycheck home, at least enough of it to feed the children and pay the rent. And I know that that's better stewardship than many of the children at the facility where I work. I'm a counselor at a prison in Fort Wayne for juveniles. And many of the kids there have not seen or heard from their parents in 6 to 24 months. Now, by the time I was 4 years old, my father was dead. And all he left behind was a life of difficult challenge, pain, and a poverty-stricken family. But that didn't stop Mom. She packed up our bags and moved the 11 of us here to Fort Wayne. And Mom did her best, but all of us didn't survive. First, my sister died, then my brother, and then finally Mom. But strangely enough, I never did blame God. I just recall that when I needed someone, he was always there. When I stop and think about the odds of staying alive in the unfortunate environment of the poor class and coming out educated, tears trickle from my eye. Because I realized not only did God keep me in his providential care, but he kept me in the protective custody of his strong hand. Now, I dropped out of high school in the 12th grade. But later on, some 4 or 5 years later, I went back and obtained a GED. Now, what encouraged me to do that is the recommendation of the people that I associated with. I was working as a short order cook at IPFW. And one of the nurses there that I went to when I was ill recommended that I go and talk to a guidance counselor. From there, he encouraged me to enroll in a 2-year program called Mental Health Technology. I enrolled in that program and was satisfied with being in that program because it helped me to understand some of the things that were occurring for me psychologically. After the completion of that program, with a lot of fear and intimidation, I went on to enroll in a bachelor's degree program. I completed that program while working 2 jobs, then went on to enroll in a master's degree program at Ball State. I completed that program and went to work for the Fort Wayne State Developmental Center. Started off as a direct care worker and elevated to the position of director. In my later years, I decided that being in administration was not satisfying to me. So I transferred to my current job, and I now work as a counselor with the teenagers that I mentioned to you earlier. It is my belief that if you persevere, if you stick to your goals and objectives, eventually you can overcome the hindrances and the obstacles that you face. And remember, that it's all about sticking to your goals, believing in something, and tackling it until it is accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.